David, thanks for joining InvestorStream for the first time. The stock has gained considerable attention in the last week following the company receiving FDA approval for the HeraBEAT device. Now that the company has the required regulatory approvals and a strategic relationship in the United States with the Mayo Clinic, do you find that this is leading to more meaningful commercial discussions?
Well, yeah, the U.S. has and always been a primary target of the company. And now with our recent FDA clearance, we are able to start working very closely with the Mayo Clinic, who are shareholders and R&D collaborators of the company for a while now, as well as additional potential partners such as hospitals, healthcare providers, and telemedicine commercial companies in order to bring the HeraBEAT to the US market. Now, the idea is that during the first stage, the devices will be used by professionals, which can be, for example, at the hospital or outpatient clinics, fertility and IVF clinics, as well as at home by midwives and nurses, which will help us with building the crucial layer of acknowledgement and appreciation by the medical community and medical professionals. Our experience proved that everyone who has tried a device immediately understands its high quality, user friendliness, and most crucially, its accuracy and reliability. Now, this will be the perfect springboard for the company towards our next goals of expanding the solution for wider adoption and use, including eventually at home, once the fully connected HeraCare platform is ready and we obtain the required approvals.
Thanks, David. You've recently furthered your relationship with the Mayo Clinic, who's a research and development collaborator and a shareholder of HeraMED, as you mentioned. How long did it take you to establish this relationship, and what aspects of the technology led them to form this agreement with you?
So first of all, it's a corporation that started back probably about 3 years ago. And the reason for that was that the Mayo Clinic has a project which has now became the standard of care for standard or normal pregnancies at the Mayo Clinic, which is called the OB Nest. And the OB Nest was and still is probably the most advanced home care-based solution for pregnancy. So the Mayo Clinic, who is considered by many the number one hospital in the world or healthcare provider in the US and all around the world, one of their goals is disruption and innovation when it comes to healthcare. And they were the first healthcare provider and medical services provider that acknowledged that fact and came to the understanding that the current regime of about 14 scheduled, highly medicalized, clinic-centric solutions for pregnancy is not sustainable anymore. So their OB Nest project or OB Nest platform was actually the first one enabling expecting moms of normal pregnancies to take the vast majority of the measurements and the solutions at home, as long as it's fully connected and supported by the medical teams that are taking care of them. The biggest challenges for the Mayo Clinic and the OB Nest project was the fact that it still involved a highly manual, subjective process. It involves ongoing calls with nurses and midwives. And when we met at a conference and when they experienced our HeraBEAT device firsthand, immediately their response was, first and foremost, we have a device was designed from scratch to be used by the expecting mom at home without any prior experience or knowledge. It's fully connected, meaning that the data can be uploaded and shared with the medical supporting teams in real time. And the cost is just a fraction of the cost of the devices that they were using, who are strictly professional Dopplers that were designed to be used by midwives and physicians. So that was actually the way that the project started, as well as some cooperation with world-renowned physician called Professor Friedman, who is actually the head of cardiology at the Mayo Clinic, who has been researching machine learning and AI solutions for the healthcare industry for probably over a decade now. His team decided that the next frontier and one of the most significant challenges they are interested in is the pregnancy world and the possibility to use AI and machine learning when it comes to pregnancy monitoring. The next stage for us, in order to submit a grant for the Israeli government around the platform which we call the HeraCare, which we are co-developing, and the HeraCare platform is a comprehensive solution that will include AI components, a designated app that will cover all the needs when it comes to the pregnant women, and different measurements on top of the fetal heart rate, which is obviously the most crucial one, but also include additional measurements such as blood pressure monitoring, weight management, urine tests, and all other associated measurements which the healthcare provider needs in order to get a full, acknowledged, in-depth analysis of the well-being of the pregnancy and the baby.
David, you recently announced a cooperation agreement with Kinderhelden, a leading web-based online midwifery services provider. How does this agreement add value for HeraMED? How does HeraMED plan to leverage their established relationships with insurance companies and hospitals?
Perfect question. So let me start with maybe a few words about insurance companies. So there are three, I would say, main reasons why insurance companies are our optimal partner for HeraMED, and therefore we target them as our strategic goal and allocate a lot of resources and focus towards these companies. So the first reason is that in the last few years, specifically medical insurance companies, but also hospitals and even employers, have been targeting expecting parents and pregnant women as their prime audience. Since they're usually healthy people, young and about obviously to expand the family and require more and more health services and thus pay additional funds towards medical insurance in the upcoming years, which makes them the perfect client for such insurance companies. There's a fierce fight, I would say, almost between global insurance companies trying to expand to new territories and finding new audiences with specific challenges when it comes to young people and the Y generation. Therefore, each one of these companies is looking for a unique angle, a cutting edge and a differentiator, and thus they are doing all they can in order to position and build a brand as being innovative, disruptive, and thinking out of the box. Now, for us, partnering with such an insurance company means that our customer acquisition cost drops dramatically, since these companies already provide services for pregnant women and young families, meaning that they have access to our target audience and can offer them our services directly. Now, when it comes to Kinderhelden specifically, they are an extremely innovative animal, I would call them, in the German healthcare ecosystem, because they're delivering a service and an offering which is very unique and practically has no other competition. They provide a comprehensive midwife service, which is a web-based and an online platform, offering expecting parents access to midwives through a chat or a phone call. While being an excellent service as it is, it's still quite limited, and this is where our interests are actually aligned. Together, we can offer a much more comprehensive, knowledgeable analysis of the pregnancy's well-being, and we're working together on an optimized digital platform, which is the German version of the HeraCare, tailored to the German user and according to the specific local standards and requirements. Now, this will allow Kinderhelden to further highlight their unique positioning and enable them to provide consultation, which is based on real parameters and real measurements and not just input that they receive from their users. Now, Kinderhelden has published before that they provide services to over 50 of the largest insurance companies in Germany, such as Barmer, BKK, and we plan to initiate talks and present our unique combined solution to these insurance companies. And we feel very confident that they will find our solution and our platform extremely appealing. Now, on top of that, there was a recent new Digital Care Act law that was just introduced in Germany a couple of months ago. And the act will enable doctors to prescribe new technologies. And in the near future, the German statutory health insurance funds will have to reimburse the cost of such solutions. And this is obviously extremely meaningful for us because it means that the out-of-pocket payment for the end user will be minimal, practically almost nothing.
David, it sounds like the company's established a really strong foundation. What should investors be looking out for in 2020?
So our focus is now all about rollout, and it's specifically the US now with the FDA approval, Germany, India, and Brazil, the geographies where we are currently experiencing strong momentum with the company's offering on all fronts. It's clinical, research and development, and obviously commercial. So I would further say that in the near future, we will continue to see additional cooperation agreements signed with substantial key players in the digital health industry and potentially even strategic partners. In parallel, we will continue to push and initiate clinical cooperation, trials, and pilots with leading medical institutes and combine the development of our new technologies such as the Orion AI, the HeraBEAT, and obviously the HeraCare digital pregnancy management platform, which combines all the above.
Well, fantastic, David. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Alex.